Welcome to Boring History to Help You Sleep. Here, stories unfold slowly, and no one is required to stay awake. Tonight, we won't talk about emperors or great battles. Instead, we'll talk about something much smaller, a pocket watch. It doesn't speak, it doesn't glow, but it once knew the rhythm of thousands of hearts, and now it waits for you to close your eyes. Part Washi, time in the palm of your hand. In the 16th century, the very first pocket watch was born. They had no faces, just hands, and a metal lid, often etched with flowers or initials. People wore them like secrets, and when they opened them, time appeared, round, soft, and whispering. A nobleman might wear one to show his status, but deep down, it reminded him, you are not eternal. In the quiet villages across Switzerland, France, and Germany, there lived men who devoted their entire lives to watches. They did not chase time. They touched it. With calloused hands, they placed gears smaller than a grain of sand. Sometimes, it took a whole week to adjust a single hand. They didn't believe life was a race. They lived as though time was a friend, not a hunter. Part 2. Memories Left in Metal. There was once a young man named Emile. He loved a woman, but never told her. Instead of flowers, he gave her a small pocket watch. Inside the lid, he engraved a line. If you open this every day, know that someone is quietly living each minute with you. But she never knew who it was from, and he never said. The watch kept ticking, and with every tick was a love never spoken aloud. In a small town, a father and son had a nightly ritual. Every night the father held his pocket watch and read stories. When the hand reaches 9, it's time for sleep, he would say. One day the father didn't come home. Years passed. The boy, now a man, still kept the same watch. Every night he placed it by his pillow, and at 9, he closed his eyes. Not because he was tired, but because a part of his father still lived in that soundless moment. Some watches returned from war, but their owners did not. One pocket watch was found in the jacket of a young soldier. Its hands had stopped. At exactly 2:37, no one knew why. But back home, his mother said, I woke up at that hour. My chest hurt. I knew. I had just lost my son. The watch was never repaired because it was no longer broken. It was holding a moment, one that should never tick forward again. Part 4. The Last Keepers of Time. At 87 years old, a man lived alone in a wooden house. He had no phone, no wall clock, just a pocket watch. Every morning he opened it, watched the hands move, and smiled. Still today, he would whisper. When he passed, the watch was found on his desk. Inside the lid, a final message. If you are reading this, it means I have gone. But my time was lived fully. And now, you're listening. Somewhere, in the quiet of night. Maybe you don't own a pocket watch, but time is still here. If you have a memory, a feeling left unsaid, or someone you once loved, then your own watch is still ticking. Close your eyes. Imagine a soft, silver watch beside your pillow. Still, gentle, patient, counting each breath. With you. Good night. Welcome to Boring History to Help You Sleep. Tonight, and we drift back in time, way back to the land between the rivers, to a place called Mesopotamia, a place of sun-dried bricks, flowing rivers, and scribes with styluses. Tonight we explore clay tablets, how they were made, why they mattered, and why, somehow, they survived for thousands of years. The Part 1. The Birth of Writing. It all began more than 5,000 years ago. In Sumer, in the southern part of ancient Mesopotamia, people needed a way to keep records. Who owed grain? How many goats? Which temple got what offerings? So they took wet clay, soft, smooth, and ready, and began pressing marks into it with a reed. These marks became symbols, and those symbols became writing. We call it cuneiform because of the wedge-shaped strokes. Q, nay, form. Part 2, making a clay tablet. To make a tablet, you start with good river clay, not too dry, not too wet. You form it into a square, or sometimes a rectangle. Some were palm-sized, others as big as a dinner plate. Then, with a stylus, usually a cut reed, you press the symbols, carefully, line by line, top to bottom. When the tablet is finished, you can leave it to dry in the sun, or bake it in a kiln, to make it last longer. That's why many tablets survived, even through fires, even through wars, because they were already baked. To part 3. What was written? Clay tablets were used for everything: receipts, tax records, marriage contracts, school exercises, magic spells, even recipes. One tablet reads, 2 goats delivered to the temple of Inanna. Account of Enlil Bani simple, dry, precise. Some tablets were meant to last. Others were temporary, erased and reused. But some told stories, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest stories in the world. Written on clay. Your part 4, scribal life. Scribes were special. They trained for years, practicing on clay over and over, copying words, lists, phrases. Sometimes the teacher would correct mistakes. Other times, the student had to copy the same sentence 10 times. Their handwriting mattered. Their accuracy mattered more. The best scribes worked for temples or kings. They earned respect, but not always riches. A scribe's day was long, quiet, repetitive, like this video. Part 5. The libraries of clay. Some buildings held thousands of tablets, organized on shelves, grouped by subject, cataloged with care. The most famous is the Library of Ashurbanipal in Nineveh. Thousands of clay tablets, stored in rooms. Some still intact today. They waited for centuries, under dust and dirt, until discovered.